Hello, and welcome into another episode of Between the Hedges. Thank you all for tuning in. If you watch now or if you watch later, we appreciate it as always. Um, how's it going tonight, buddy?
It's going good. Um, had a quite a interesting weekend with these games for sure. It's always the weird weeks where we see upsets, so it was definitely interesting to say the least.
I'd go a step further than interesting, but I see where you're going. It was chaotic. It was exciting. It was just almost utter pandemonium. We had two top fives get upset, and granted, they were on the road and they were SEC teams, but still, they got upset. And then we saw a top 10 team get blown out. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, we will get more into that. But luckily, none of what I just said applies to our dogs. They
Thank God.
they showed up. They started a little bit better this week, and they took care of business against a decent Auburn team. I'll say that they did show some fight. They did some things somewhat well, but showed that they're far superior.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn did all right. Our defense did let up too many points, in my opinion, but I wasn't able to watch the whole game because I was at work when the games started. So I just catched like the last 25 minutes of that game. So, I mean, with it
It,
with it only being 13 points, I'm okay with, but I was hoping that they would meet the spread, you know.
well, we all were. I mean, we all picked them to cover, and they didn't this week, and that's okay. The reason why I'm okay with it, I was at the game actually. I got a last minute ticket, so
You
thank you,
dirty dog.
thank you to Forrest family for inviting me very last minute. I got to tailgate with them, had a good time, and then got to go watch the dogs play. And because you said you only got to see the last 25, I'll say the game was in hand at that point. Yeah, it looked like it was close because on the scoreboard it was, but Georgia had pretty firm control of the game, got a couple of stops on defense there at the end to solidify it. But and we scored a late touchdown as well to put it out of reach for once and for all. But yeah, I mean, I like what I saw. I was there in person, like I just said, and it looked better than it did the previous week from start to finish. I still don't think we quite put a full 60 minutes together yet, because if we did, we blow Auburn out. Now, we won by 18, so that's a blowout by most every metric you can think of.
Especially in the SEC.
Yeah, it's an SEC opponent, it's a rival. It's the Deep South's oldest rivalry, so it's been played the most number of times out of
Yeah.
anything. Um, so the fact that Georgia came out and took care of business is great. Um, and as y'all can see, we don't have Dad on here tonight. He couldn't join us. So that is okay. I see he's commenting. He said, "Go dogs, go doors." Yeah, we're about to talk about the doors. The old old Vandy.
Oh,
They took care
Vandy.
of some. They exercised some demons. They beat their first top five opponent ever. They
Well, not only that, top ranked opponent, like number one
Yep,
ranked opponent in 61 games
yep. So now they're
now.
1-60.
Yep.
But the one that they
Yes,
got, I mean,
is well done. Like,
well,
oh my gosh, we'll just get into that if you want to go straight into that, we can talk about that because that's insane.
yeah, I know it wasn't on our slate, and I kind of hate that, but I understand why it wasn't because everybody kind of expected Alabama coming off a big win against Georgia at home, going in there. Vandy, you had Nick Saban saying, "Oh, that's the easiest win. That's the least SEC atmosphere in the SEC." And
Where were they at yesterday?
yeah,
Huh? And also,
that
why couldn't they play like that against us a week ago?
well,
They
here's
just
what
had to be video game
that
level.
just goes to show you, and I think that this week's AP and coaches poll reflect that as well as all of ours because I've gotten a sneak peek at our rankings that you guys will see later.
Yep.
We everybody's almost in agreement now that the Georgia win for Alabama was more due to the fact that Alabama played like they were playing a video game. They had an incredible start and they hung on for dear life. And
They scraped by. Like we had no right to be that close with it being a 23-point game at that point.
well, it was 28-0, and then we come storming back. It was 23 at the half.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
we take the lead for 13 seconds and then give it right back. And then we had the ball with a chance to win at the very end of the game. Um, so, all in all of that being said, Vandy gets all the credit. It was a 5 point game at the end, but they were up 12 with like 3 minutes to go. So, Alabama had to score to make it look respectable, but Vandy, from what I saw, I didn't obviously I was at the Georgia game, so I didn't get to watch a ton of the late games yesterday. But
Hmm.
from what I could tell from the scoreboard, looking at the highlights, the scoreboard in the stadium, that is, Vandy pretty much it was a wire to wire victory. Alabama never led. So give them all the credit. They controlled the game, and it made me really happy because any day that Alabama loses to anybody, I'm happy. But especially the fact that they lost to Vandy, and now
Yeah.
Vandy, excuse me, is nowhere near as bad as they normally are. Um, they're actually pretty good this year, but
Yeah.
just
They're
because
not a
of
bottom four team anymore. Like they're proving themselves that they're a mid, I would say in the range of 7 to 10, maybe 11, roughly
in the
in that
SEC.
range in the SEC. Like they're not bottom team anymore. They're not gonna go over in the conference. They're not gonna be 1-12, 1-11, or I can't speak 1-11 or 2-10. They're gonna prove themselves, and they might be maybe 6, 7 win team. Who knows?
In the SEC? Well, I don't know. We'll see. They're 1-1 now. That's the best they've been in a long time. And like Dad just chimed in, he said Alabama thought they could just show up and win, but this isn't your usual Vandy team. Absolutely. Um,
Absolutely.
we Vandy caught them with their pants down. I mean, they were
They did.
they were not ready for this game. And this, I know if you're an Alabama fan, feel free to chime in. I'm not gonna stomp on you while you're down, even though it feels good. 1 week removed from heartbreak if you're a Georgia fan like
Yeah.
myself. But you know, it it calls into question, can DeBoer week to week get the maximum ability out of these guys? A lot of the fans I was seeing, they were like, "Oh, Nick Saban said what he said, and DeBoer didn't get these guys ready. They weren't motivated." So If you
All right.
guys agree, let us know. What do you think about that point there?
I mean, knowing how DeBoer, I mean, yeah, DeBoer was the coach for Washington and they made it to the national championship, but he had uh key players to help him out with that. I don't think, I mean, he's a great coach. I'm not going to no for him being a good coach. He's a great coach, but um without Michael Penix, without Adunza, without their running back, they wouldn't have made it to the national championship. It kind of resembled like Clemson when they had Sean Watson and then at the time Trevor Lawrence. They had key players to help them reach that point, whereas Georgia had a complete team. Alabama had a complete team. Who else has won it recently?
I mean, Michigan was a complete team.
No, yeah, Michigan. I forgot. Even last year, Michigan was a complete team, but now you see where they're at
Well, because
without those key.
they haven't
They
built
haven't
that type of a roster consistently yet.
right, but they're getting there. They're getting there.
Well, and yeah,
But yeah, go ahead.
Dad says DeBoer's won everywhere he's coached. To be fair, yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, he's got over 100 wins already, and he hadn't been a coach that long.
Yeah,
So I mean, yes, he's a great coach. He's won a lot of games, but I just you get on Twitter, you get on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you get on, and the Alabama fans, this sky's falling. As I mean, and it might be, who knows? That also said, I hate to be South Carolina this week. Yeah, I would too, because
yeah.
good teams respond, and if you great teams respond in a big way. So if Alabama is a great team, watch out.
That,
South Carolina just got embarrassed, so
they got
it could be two
embarrassed.
weeks in a row for them.
But I mean, at the same time, can Alabama be that great team like they were? Because this is the end of Saban's recruiting class going out for I think the juniors and seniors now. This is the last of Saban.
Well, the freshman
So,
class or sophomore class is his last class, really. Well, the freshman. He recruited this freshman class. So
I,
we'll see in 3 years what does it look like. But
I mean, do we have proof and like stats on how he did? I mean, recruiting wise at Washington. 'Cause, I mean, we really didn't see where Washington was because we were focused on the top five recruiting classes,
you
and
know,
Georgia's normally one or two.
that's a good question. We'd have to look at that. I don't know where they were on average, but not top 10, top 15, I don't think. So that is a good question. How good of a recruiter can he
Is he?
be but he has way more resources and a program that, is like getting the keys to a Ferrari. So can he just not wreck the Ferrari? That's really all DeBoer has to do.
But
Don't wreck it.
he got pretty much got given this program because Saban retired. They needed a good coach, and they're like, "Oh, here you go."
Yeah.
But now he's got to prove himself. I know this is his first year with this program, but if he's already proved himself and we're saying like he's got 100 wins already, that's great. But you haven't coached in the SEC before.
No.
SEC coaches are a lot tougher and a lot harder to deal with, as you can tell with Vandy. Are
Yeah,
you going to be
Clark.
that great team?
How about Clark Lee and the job he's doing there at Vandy? I
and doing a
mean,
great, phenomenal job. Like they, dude, I'm telling, like at the end of the year, they're at overall record, they're going to be a 6 or 7 win team. I promise you that.
so bowl eligible for Vandy this year.
100%.
Yeah, I think so too.
100%.
We will see. Dad says, is DeBoer on the hot seat now? He said, yes.
I don't
May
think so.
that may be
It
pushing it a little bit, but at Alabama,
that's
I don't know.
it might be at Alabama because I mean, hey, there's coaches out there that you can pay. I mean, they could go out and get Lane Kiffin for all we know. You know, yeah, like if you get enough money to buy him out and then get Lane Kiffin or buy Sharkeesian, you know,
But see, I
you
mean, they
never
could.
know.
That brings up the question, though, and I think Dad's saying that tongue in cheek. I mean, I know him pretty well, so I think that's a tongue in cheek comment there, because they had a shot at both of those guys you just said, and they went for DeBoer. Um, I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think they're going to give him a chance. You got to give him at least a full recruiting cycle, which is 3 to 4
Yeah.
years now before you start saying things like hot seat and can he coach and all this stuff. But man, it definitely brings. I mean, Alabama's never lost to Vandy before. I mean, I could be wrong, maybe way back, but not
It
in
was a
recent.
long time ago.
Yeah, not in modern. I don't think it's in the modern college football
I
like
think that was
post.
the first win Vandy had in like 23 straight games against Alabama alone. Like
Yeah,
their first win was in the 23rd game or 24th,
yeah. So that's
which is
incredible.
insane.
That was the shock of the day for sure. But
No, I mean, yes, that was a shock, but I think just as much was the Arkansas Vandy game or Arkansas Tennessee game.
or you could say Texas A&M Missouri. So let's get into that. Let's transition to our picks and kind of start talking about those games that we
For
actually
sure.
picked this
Picked
week.
for sure.
And anything else to add to the UGA game? I mean, I know we didn't cover, but all in all, again, I'll say what I said just a few minutes ago. I think I think we definitely looked better. We got to
We
keep getting
definitely
better.
we definitely look better. I think this game was more so getting things dialed in. Not saying Auburn's a horrible team, but I mean they've had horrible season. So I
Mm.
mean we kind of treated this game like we took it serious. Don't get me wrong, because it's a rivalry game, but I think we chose to dial things in and work on stuff that we were having trouble with against Alabama to get ready for this gauntlet of teams that we're about to play after Mississippi State in this coming up week.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. All right. Well, let's get into our results. They
The
weren't
greatest.
the greatest. It wasn't.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it was not the best week for us. We'll we'll s- we'll say that. Let me know when you can see that.
Well, I see it. I'm good.
Okay. Starting with we went through the Georgia Auburn game. We all picked UGA to cover. Obviously, that didn't happen, right?
Right.
Got close, but no cigar there. So let's talk about this Texas A&M win over Missouri. Obviously,
Dude.
you picked the game, right? I mean, basically a pick 'em,
And,
so you were just thinking they would win. Did you think they would blow
and
them out?
no, I didn't think they would blow them out. I just had a feeling, it was Texas A&M being at home. Missouri struggles going on the road every once in a while. And it with it being, I think that was a noon game, was it?
It
Or maybe
was.
like a, yeah, noon game.
Hmm.
They kind of struggle with noon games, even if they're at home, because they struggled with us when we had the noon game at their place. So, with that all being said, I figured Texas A&M would give them a run for their money, even though it was a 2.5 point favorite, or yeah, 2.5 point favorite for Texas A&M. I just thought it was at least going to be a touchdown, not 31 points.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean this could have been a touchdown game either way, I feel like, but
Yeah.
that is not what played out. And I'll be the first to say, I guess I was wrong about Missouri. They're looking there's been signs, the Vandy game, they just got by. They just barely have been getting by and, not looking like the Missouri team that, put everybody on notice last year by ending the year by beating Ohio State. And took Georgia toe to toe, gave us all we could handle. And yeah, they look like a fraud now to me. And they've got a pretty light schedule. So getting blown out by
Absolutely
Texas
blowing it
A&M.
out.
Yeah. Now, yes, that it was a road blowout loss, but still, I mean, 31 points. That does
That
not look good.
that's a
Um,
bad loss. Like you're probably gonna be in like a toilet bowl now if you
I wouldn't
don't.
go that far because I think they're going to win enough games to potentially sneak into a playoff. They can win 10 games still. I mean, this schedule's not it's not a gauntlet, but now if they keep playing like this, they could lose two or three more. And yeah, then you're looking at the Outback Bowl and you know
It's,
whatever whatever other
um,
bowl.
the Texas Slayer or Tax Slayer Bowl.
Yeah, I mean you could be looking at something like that too now. So that's fully in play, and I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong about Missouri, or so it looks like right now. And
It's
boy,
insane.
Texas A&M, don't look now, but they're let's look at them. They are
I think
five and
they're like,
one now,
yeah,
and they're
5-1.
3-0 in the SEC. They're leading the SEC.
Yep.
Um,
And
so
I think they're ranked what 15 right now.
yeah, they moved up to 15, which I'm sure we will talk about more in just a little bit. But
Hmm.
yeah, they jumped up, and to me, they're a fringe playoff team right now. If they keep putting this together,
Yeah.
and if they've got 3 wins already in the SEC, and everybody's looking up at them. So who knows if they make the SEC championship or not? I mean, they could. I definitely said on a previous show of ours that watch out. Texas A&M might be making a run here, so it looks like they could be. This is a good start.
I'd be careful. Whoever plays them, I'd be careful
Yeah,
because you're not promised, even if you're favored, you're not promised against Texas A&M.
right.
And
They
they're
play
looking solid.
they play tough. They're a physical team. They're well coached, which that's what they were going for when they hired Elko. So good for them.
Yep.
And as you see, Dad and I picked Missouri, so we were dead wrong about this one. Uh, Moving on to Ohio State, Iowa. I'll be honest, I did not watch any of this game, but I was scoreboard watching, and as you can see there, this is the only game that I got right.
Woo!
Uh, woo. Another rough week for me personally, but the way that Georgia bounced back and Alabama losing and Tennessee losing, I'm fine. I'll take it. Ohio
It's a
State's
small
look,
win.
yeah, but Ohio State's looking like the team that everybody kind of expected. They're not really being challenged yet. They're
Of course
taking
not.
care of business. So um, we all three got that one right. That's the only one we all three got right. What do you know?
Right. I mean, shoot. I mean, yeah, Ohio State is undefeated, but they need to move into the SEC and get woken up a little bit before, or get humbled before they start talking, because their wins, yeah, they're blowout wins, but who have you played?
I mean, nobody really yet. I guess I was the first real team that
That
plays.
was their challenge so far.
Yeah. We got Frank commenting real quick in the chat here. He said, "What a
Mm-hmm.
great day, great Saturday for upsets. Big game coming
Mm-hmm.
up for Ohio State." Yes, sir. You're right. We've already kind of touched on that. We led the show with what amazing day for upsets it was, and
No,
just glad that our dogs did not fall victim to that this week. But Ohio State does have, they are about to start getting tested. To that
thankfully.
point, they have Oregon this weekend in Eugene.
Oh,
So
ooh,
that one,
ooh.
Dad, I know
We
Dad's watching. We've got to pick that game
please
this week.
pick put that game in here.
That's a top three matchup right now. Top
Top
three.
three. Oh, is that
Yeah.
a 2-3?
2-3 matchup.
Oh my.
Yeah. Game day's probably going to be there. I don't know if they've announced
Oh,
it
no,
yet, but
they
uh,
are.
okay.
They announced it during the Tennessee Arkansas game that they're going to Eugene,
Makes sense. Right.
because they said it was a 3-6 at the time, or 3-5 or something like that. Um and now it's a 2-3.
Yeah.
So a big game.
Really big one for Ohio State. So we'll see what Ohio State and Oregon's made of, really, because
That is true.
Oregon's had one tough game that they had to fight and scratch and claw for. Um, they had another big win this week, so we'll see what both of those teams look like this weekend. Um,
For sure.
and let's move on to the team, our team of destiny so far. South Carolina.
Hmm.
How about South Carolina getting just blown out, just manhandled and everything else? What do you think about that? I know D's your boy, so
I mean, I didn't watch the game honestly, but I was talking to one of my other homies, one of my brothers in Christ. Shout out to Michael Francois. He's an Old Miss fan, and he's still iffy about Ole Miss and how they're playing. He wasn't happy with them losing to Kentucky at home. That's for sure. But South Carolina, I mean, they're each week there's like up and down. You never know how they truly are. Um, their offense is just you, a toss up. There's no consistency. I mean, their defense does decent, but I mean, they gave up 27 points here. But um, it's just South Carolina has a weird season right now.
yeah, to say the least. And
Yeah,
we all picked them, and we were again dead wrong on this one. It was definitely a bounce back win for Ole Miss, which is what they needed, right?
yeah,
Um, so they kind of re uh, got everything back on track, so to speak. But they really have little room for error now.
no, Ole Miss has to win out for the most part. They might lose
Yeah,
one more,
yeah.
but
I don't know if they have to win out if they want to make the playoff, but to reach their goals, they were thinking SEC championship, first round bye in the playoff. I don't know. I mean, they would absolutely have to win out to make that happen, and I still don't know if winning if that does it for them. See, because like Texas is undefeated, um, Texas A&M's undefeated in the SEC. So I mean, to get that SEC championship still is kind of iffy for me for them. So,
Um,
and you still got to play Georgia.
and I think they also have to play Tennessee too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So
They got a few hard games to play to make it to that SEC championship game.
absolutely.
So does Georgia. I mean, we got Texas, we got Tennessee,
Ole
we
Miss.
got Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we got Florida, even though it's SEC, so you got Florida.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, eh, we'll see how Ole Miss finishes out. This is what game five for them, right?
6.
Game six.
Yeah.
So they're halfway done, just like most teams. So, they got to prove themselves these last six games.
Yep. We got Frank putting another comment in the chat. Thank you, Frank, for commenting. He says, I'm a Buckeye fan and I predict Oregon to win. Oregon has a great defense. Wow.
They do, they do.
Th
That's shocking to hear from an Ohio State fan.
it
But I mean,
is,
hey,
but
game is game. If you see game, you got to respect it.
yeah, I mean, Oregon does have a really great defense. So I'm wondering if Ohio State will be able to move the ball consistently on them. That is a good question, Frank, and we do appreciate you
I do have
participating.
a question. I
Give,
do have a question for Frank though.
yeah.
If he's still in here. Frank, are you not trusting in your Ohio State offense with how powerful y'all are? What's
It
going on
doesn't,
with that?
yeah, it doesn't sound like it. Must not be a fan of the quarterback or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Y'all got some fast receivers. You got a great running back that was at Old Miss. Um,
they already had one in front
and
of
they already
him.
had one in front of him, but what's wrong with two? You can always take double of what you already got, right? But I'm just curious, are you doubting your offense?
It sounds like it may be it being a road game, and it's going to be at night at Eugene, so that place is going to be rocking.
It's gonna be
Um,
bumping.
yeah. So anyway, all right, moving on to another old Pac-12 team, new Big Ten team, Washington, uh, favored at home. They pulled it out 10 points over Michigan. Um, this is another one that I didn't see much of, but it looked like Washington uh, pulled a Michigan on Michigan. Like they just kind of
They
controlled the
did.
game and ran the ball a lot and quarterback run, hand the ball off a lot, and they really could have won by more. It
Yeah.
And that was the only one to get this one right. So kudos to him. I mean,
How, how,
all they had to do was win,
yeah.
basically and win by three, and Dad got it, would have gotten it right anyway, but they won by 10. So um, the
This was a toss
champs,
up for me.
the champs are no longer the champs.
Nah, they got
They're
two losses.
they're done.
They got two ugly losses. And this game was a toss up for me. I truly should have picked Washington because I said I wasn't going to pick Michigan, but they were at home. They had a good week last week. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh, here you go. I'll give you a pick. See how you do this time.
Well,
That was a mistake.
Michigan went to Washington. They weren't at home.
Or oh, see, that's me for not paying attention here.
Yeah. That's okay. I mean, I just thought that Michigan would keep playing keep away like
Right.
they've been doing, and clearly they couldn't do that enough to and put enough points on the board to win the ball game. So yeah, in a Big Ten with Ohio State, Oregon, the loser of the Ohio State Oregon game is still going to be very much in it because Michigan's out. USC lost again this week, so they're pretty much out of
Which
it.
is crazy.
Um, Iowa's got their second loss, I think, so they're pretty much out of it. So it's the Big Ten's really starting to be a two-horse race now,
Yep.
which a lot of people kind of expected. I mean,
Expected. Mm.
we'll talk about this in a minute, but Penn State's kind of sneaky. They're still undefeated. But I still don't trust Penn State. I don't. They
Just wait until they play Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean they've still got Ohio State on their schedule, and I just don't see that going Penn State's way. So
Mm-mm. Unless they just shock us.
yeah, which they could. But anyway, moving right along to the last game here that we picked. All three of us picked Tennessee because we expected Tennessee to put some points on the board, and they put up 14.
Sorry. This gives me so much hope for our game.
Oh, I already was pretty confident because it's a true freshman quarterback coming into Athens. It's gonna be most likely an afternoon or an evening game.
Booming.
It's gonna be rocking. The fans are gonna be giving him so much crap. He's in the Heisman race, which I think this game probably
I hope he gets
knocks
dropped.
knocks him back a little bit. I don't know if it knocks him completely out because he's still got a lot of big games ahead of him, but it knocked him back a little bit. Um, and dude, they just could not. I mean, give all the credit to Arkansas. They had a plan. Their defense is
hmm
stout. They were sacking
hmm
Nico. They were getting after him.
Yep.
So
I mean, that's what you got to do to a mobile quarterback. I mean, with Georgia against Alabama, I mean, yeah, we were doing good with the run game, like we always do, and the passing. We have good pass rush, but they had a mobile quarterback.
we couldn't
We just
tackle and we couldn't get
couldn't
him on the ground.
no. So I think we just need to watch this film on this game and take notes from Arkansas to figure this out to play Tennessee so that this result happens again and it's a blowout.
Well, if Tennessee only puts up 14 points, um, and they look like that when they come to Athens, yeah, it won't be close. It'll be another 18, 20 point victory for Georgia. So,
Yeah,
um, sorry, Tennessee. Don't feel too bad for you guys either.
not at all. Stupid hillbillies.
Look,
You can,
we
nah, nah.
uh, we love everyone, right? Because we're supposed to love everyone, but it's just a little bit harder for me to love Alabama fans, Tennessee fans, Auburn fans, Florida fans. So sorry. Don't feel bad when any of you guys lose. But good kudos to Arkansas and Sam Pittman for getting a
Congrats to
big
Sam.
win.
That's the second time they've had a rush on the field for them. So that's awesome for Sam in the program. That definitely boosts their confidence because they needed it. They should have beaten Oklahoma State, I think it was. So, I mean, to finally have a game this season where they beat a good team
A top five team.
and, yeah, a good team, and not only that, a top five team. It's great. I give him props. I'm so happy for Sam Pittman and what he's done with that program. They're on the right track for sure.
Well, depending on how, the rest of the season plays out for them, this might have saved his job. He was definitely on the hot
100%.
seat. So
100%.
this is the type of signature win that can turn your program around and save your job, but they've got to keep stacking some wins. This can't be their
Yeah.
last win of the season. So,
No, no. If it's their last win, then he's gone.
yeah. But good job for them. Good job, Arkansas. Hard fought victory. And as you can see, the totals for the week there are pretty putrid. 1-5 for myself. Again, thought that wouldn't happen again, but here we are. Upset
Here we
Saturday
are.
came a little early. I thought it was going to be this next weekend coming up, but it was this weekend, so kind of bite me. It bit me a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and you and Dad not much better, 2-4. So as y'all can
Crazy.
see, bringing our overall totals, mine's 11 and 19. Dad's 15 and 15 now, trending in the wrong direction here, Dad. You've got to turn it around. See?
Hmm. Hmm. Talking too much, and look what you did this week, Dad. Look what you did this week.
Yeah, well, he
I
still
know,
did
I
just as
know, I know you're watching. I'm see you on that couch right now. Hmm.
and
Two
he
and four, my boy. 2-4.
well his and I'll since he's not here to defend himself, I'll defend it because he still did better than me and he still did just as good as you. So
It don't matter. He's talking that talk, but look at that. 2-4, and you're 15 and 15. Not far behind you.
I'd take it though. So maybe I can get back to 500. I was getting closer and then got the
Not
rug
happened.
pulled out. All right, well
No.
let's my dad said I did the same as you.
Hmm.
He's talking to you.
Okay, cool. Look at the overall record. I'm 2 games behind you. I've been like this for the past 3 weeks.
That's because y'all
But
keep
you were above 500 before then.
Yep.
And now you're at 500. So you're trending down while I'm staying consistent, like staying consistent. And then Micah, I mean, he's he's getting there from what he started to now. It's a big step up, but this week definitely hurt you for sure.
Yeah,
But
two 1-5 weeks may sink me because we've only got just another 6 or 7 to go. So
mhm.
we'll see. Plenty of time left. We're at the halfway point, so there's our halftime scores and totals on our picks.
Yep.
But moving right along to our top 12, who we think deserves to be ranked in the top 12 right now, and in just a few weeks will turn into our playoff rankings. So
Yep.
let me know when you can see that.
When I see it.
All right. So as um as we transition here, Dad, maybe you can put in the comments something that you want everybody to know about your top 12, but Matthew, I'll let you go ahead. Um, just give us well, there's a couple of big jumps on the screen, so maybe talk about those and why you've moved up teams so much and so far down for some others.
Well, I mean, for Ohio State, I gave them. I mean, like all of us, we have them number one and number. We have Texas number one, Ohio State number two. I think for me, Ohio State being at number two just proves, yes, they're undefeated. They haven't been challenged yet, but with them having Oregon coming up this week will truly determine this jump up that I did for them. Um, but I did that just because they're undefeated. They were number, for me, they were number 7 at the time, but in the actual rankings, they were number 3. So they got bumped up one. Um, and then Penn State, same for them. Haven't really, you know, they're still undefeated team. Like they're getting business done. They're staying undefeated, doing what they need to do. But the true challenge will be this last 6 games for Penn State as well to figure out how they truly stand. And then I dropped Alabama and Tennessee that low just because we got some bad wins. I truly wanted to take them out because of how bad those losses were, but I was I kept myself humble and put them in at least the top 10 from where they were. And then brought in Notre Dame, Clemson, and LSU. I just feel like those three are proving themselves a little bit. I know Notre Dame kind of is like in there, but I just threw them in there. That was just like a throw in pick. It wasn't really a thought out pick for me, but definitely LSU and Clemson have been proving themselves a lot. So that's my top 12.
Yeah, and I noticed like you said, we all have Texas one, Ohio State two. For me, Ohio State, the winner of Ohio State, Oregon will be probably the number two team in the country, maybe number one, depending on how it looks. Because we keep acting like Texas has been challenged, and they really haven't outside of going to Michigan. Now that's their best win, but it's their only big win so far. I
Yeah.
mean, they are playing an SEC schedule, but it's been very light on the front end. It's very back heavy. So we will learn more about Texas in the weeks to come. Um, not they're still going to be they're a very physical team. So to me, and they're undefeated. They're one undisputed at this point. Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, you could argue those next three in any order at this point. I feel like they're interchangeable, but um, I bumped Oregon up 4 spots just because they're starting to look like the Oregon that everybody expected coming into this season, coming off
Yeah.
of a really good season last year. With a lot of momentum in recruiting. They like our buddy Frank said earlier, they've got a great defense. So to me,
Um,
defense travels, and it can get you a lot of wins. So I kept Georgia at 4, just because to me, an 18-point victory against a decent team is just status quo for Georgia. They didn't show me anything that would make me believe that they should be um, in the conversation for number one again just yet. We will have plenty of time to prove that though with our upcoming schedule. Not this week against Mississippi State, who's probably the worst team in the SEC, but definitely with Texas and um, Tennessee and Ole Miss still coming. So Georgia at 4, Miami at 5 because they're still undefeated. And I moved them up 1 because of all the really just because of all the chaos this weekend. Dropped Alabama 5. They're still a one-loss team. They're still Alabama. So until they really have a fall from grace, there's always going to be a top 10 team, in my opinion. So I got them at 6. I jumped Penn State from out of my top 12 to 7. Same deal with Ohio State and Texas. They haven't really been well, even less than Texas at this point. Penn State has not been challenged at all, but they are undefeated and they've kind of taken care of teams. So I'll give them their respect. They're 7, dropped Tennessee to 8. Still respect them. They've got a really great offense and a great defense. I think that was just a tough matchup for them. So I think Tennessee will still be um, here at the end when it's all said and done. I kept Clemson at 9. They're rolling. Ever since
Yeah.
Georgia embarrassed them, they're rolling. They look great. I'm telling you, Clemson is going to be a really good team, and the more they're going to be there at the end, and the more that they win, the better that looks on Georgia for just blowing them out week 1. So
Yeah.
um, I got Ole Miss. Um, Ole Miss was not in my top 12 last week, but I had them at like 13, 14. And so I moved them up because they went on the road. They blew out a South Carolina team that we all thought was kind of a team of destiny.
Yeah.
So they're at 10, and I think rightfully so for me. And then I've got LSU and BYU. So our buddy last week, the BYU fan, what was his name? Uh,
Oh, oh, what was his name?
I don't know if he's watching though, or if he watches this at some point. Here you go. I've got this is the only Big 12 team that I think any of us have in the top 12. Yeah. So I've been
Hmm.
impressed with them so far. They're leading the Big 12, and deservedly so. I got them in the top 12. So what do you
They're definitely one of those teams to watch out. They could be that 10 through 12 spot in the playoff for sure.
yeah, I could see them getting in. I mean, it's not a really it's more of a top heavy, not a deep conference, but they're leading it right now. So um that's why they're there for me. The conference champion gets an automatic top 4, which I think is crazy, but
Crazy.
that's a conversation for another day. I don't think we'd
Yeah,
have the 12 team playoff without those automatic bids, to be honest with you. Um,
100%.
but it is what it is, and they may be the 4 seed when it's all said and done, which is kind of crazy to say, but they just might be.
Is Big Ten one of the top four
Yeah,
spots?
it's the Power Four conference, so Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and Big 12.
Okay. I thought it was the Pac-12 instead of Big Ten.
They're now a group of 5 because there's only 3 teams in the Pac-12 or 2.
Mm, gotcha. Yeah, that's right.
Now they are
Yeah.
gaining more teams in like 2025 or 6,
Hmm.
but yeah, there's still probably going to be a group of 5 team because they're going to have like maybe 8 in the whole conference. So
Yeah.
anything else stick out to you? Dad dropped Alabama 6 as well, 6 spots. He's got
Me.
Texas A&M in the top 12, which I have Texas A&M, and I have probably uh, Notre Dame just outside the top 12 for me. What do you think about Texas A&M being 12
I
for
don't mind
Dad?
that. I probably should have. I kind of second that. I probably should have done that instead of Notre Dame, honestly. Um,
They
Texas
definitely look
A&M, well,
better.
they definitely do. They are definitely proving themselves, and I mean, if they continue doing what they're doing throughout the season, who knows who we'll see in the SEC championship game this year? Because it's now a toss up at this point.
Yeah, just
If it were to stop right now, it would be Texas A&M and who else?
Texas, I
There you
think.
go.
Let's see. I'm gonna look that up.
But I mean, we just, like I say all the time, got to play the games first. You can't just, can't just lollygag through everything. You gotta play each game every single time, regardless of what the
Who it
situation
is?
is and who it is. And that's
Yeah.
why Alabama lost
Yep.
because they just thought it was basically a practice for them. Like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go in, we're gonna, we're a bigger team, we're this, we're that, we're gonna show them what's up. And then Vandy was like, oh hell no, we're a better team than what you normally think. We've seen the internet, we've seen the Twitter, we've seen Instagram, all those memes. No, we're not that team anymore, but
Yeah. Dad says Texas A&M got their quarterback back yesterday. That's why they looked better on offense. Yeah. Although, I mean, I don't think that their
there's
backup did
five
a
and one.
yeah, I don't think their backup did a bad job either filling in. I don't it's kind of a toss up for me, but I mean obviously they're um what's his name?
Wingman.
Wigman is the more experienced guy in the offense, so it looked smoother. It looked like a
Yeah.
well-oiled machine. So, yeah, fair
Um,
point.
yeah, I mean, he's doing his thing coming back, and then like you said, starting the backup quarterback, I mean, led them to 4-1 before, or led them to a couple wins, I think,
Uh, it was
if I'm
just
not
two
mistaken.
wins.
Yeah, so a couple. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
and
regardless of the situation with them, they're still 5-1 with or without their starting quarterback.
yeah. So it's Texas A&M and Texas right now if we had the SEC championship today.
See, so it's just a toss up because Texas and Georgia got to play. Texas and uh, I think Texas A&M have to play.
Yep. And
Um,
Oklahoma. They play
and
Oklahoma as well.
and Oklahoma. Georgia has to play Tennessee. Uh, Ole Miss has to play Georgia. Everything. The SEC,
Wide
SEC's
open.
look is wide open. Uh, Anybody can be in this SEC championship that we don't predict
Yeah, I
or
mean,
expect to be.
I agree. It's pretty wide open, but I'm glad that Georgia got it turned around, and it's looking like they will be okay. I think we're figuring it out. So let's keep it rolling. Let's take care of Mississippi State. Let's not play with them this week. Let's take care of some business and
Get the job done, play like Ohio State is playing, and get these wins big. This is a game where you need to win big and make a stand for yourself. The
yep,
reason why you're a top five team, like prove it.
yep.
Just prove it. Don't hold back. Don't settle. Just go out fast, play like a video game, and then you settle and figure things out and get dialed in with certain stuff. That's what we need to do for sure.
Well, we know it's not a video game, but we all wish it was sometimes. And I think I think Georgia and Alabama have been just about as close as it gets to getting results like in a video game, week in and week out, just rinse and repeat.
Hmm.
So I trust that. I trust that that's going to continue as long as Kirby Smart's here. So,
100%.
any final thoughts before we wrap up here tonight?
Um, just like we said at the beginning, pretty chaotic, uh, crazy, insane, interesting weekend for sure for games. Um, I know we don't cover this, but there's been some interesting games for the NFL this weekend too, like for today. And it's been crazy. I just got done watching the Cardinals beating the 49ers at the 49ers
Yeah,
when that game was last I saw 20-10 or something like that in favor of 49ers, and it ended up being 24-23 at the end of the game for Cardinals.
yeah,
So that's why you've got to play the game. But as far as college sports go, or college football, this is why I watch it because it's the best.
it is. It really
Nope.
is. Dad said, I love college football. We do too, and that's why we do this every week. So,
Yeah.
um, definitely had a lot of fun again tonight. Thank you for joining me. Had another great time being on here. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you for all the comments. We appreciate the love and support. If you would, just if you like what we're doing or if you don't like what we're doing, we don't either way, does not matter. But share with five of your friends. Give us a like. Subscribe if you like what we're doing. Definitely keep the comments up. This is one of the higher comment nights, so we appreciate that. Uh, and definitely turn on notifications so you know if we have to do a pop-up episode, because something breaking happens, we'll get on here. So, and you guys
Yep.
won't miss it. So, we
Yep.
definitely appreciate it. Thank you for the support and everybody. Let's go have a good week. And as always, go dogs.
Go dog.